Welcome to the Reclaimed Ranch. Today we have some contracted custom furniture flips.
This here is another project table. It's a smaller table, but it has a little leaf in the middle and lots of thick green paint on it that's going to be coming off. It looks like the wood underneath is going to be a really nice brown tone. So we're going to strip her down and refinish it. So I saw a product online called Green Easy. I am not affiliated with them. I'm just trying to find something that is economically better for me and the earth. So supposedly this is, and we will see. So you're supposed to put the stripper on for 2 to 4 hours and then scrape it clean and then use this cleaning solution.
So I poured a pretty thick layer on the top there, nice even thick layer, and I ran out of saran wrap, so I used some tin foil. Seemed to work just fine. And I let it sit for 2 hours, I believe, and checked it, and it was ready for this table. I didn't smell anything, which was nice. It doesn't have an odor. And of course I was outside, so that helped even more. But sorry for the lighting. It was almost dark by the time I got to this. But you can see the green paint must have been like a latex paint because it just really pulled right up with the foil. Most of it came off on the foil. So that was nice. But the leaf didn't have paint. It just had a varnish, which was a little bit tougher to get off. But I just used my scraping tool to get that varnish off as much as possible before sanding. So I would say it was a success on this piece. The next piece, however, was not that great, and you'll see why.
So you can see that Green Easy did strip off the green paint really well, and actually most of the varnish underneath as well, but still got a lot to go. So I'm gonna use my scraper, get most of this off, and then we'll clean it off really well and resort to sanding. But I think it's gonna be a pretty cool piece.
So for sanding, I used my orbital sander and I used an 80 grit first to get off the rest of that varnish. And then I went to a 150 and smoothed it out. I didn't want to go any higher than that because it'll close the grain of the wood, and I wanted to be able to stain this. So if you close the grain, then the stain can't penetrate through as much. So I left it at 150, but it seemed smooth enough. And then I used my Fusion's stain and finishing oil in the color Cappuccino, and I put one good coat on and then let it dry, and then kind of went over the top again with the not as thick of a coat, but just gave it basically 2 coats, 2 thin coats. And once that cures, it'll be good to go. So this was a pretty easy flip because she wanted the legs to be the same. She liked the chippy, distressed look of the legs. So all I had to do was refinish the top. So that made it kind of nice. And it was a gorgeous day today. So I couldn't complain. And here's that cappuccino color. It is a dark stain. And if you don't like dark stain, Fusion does have 5 different colors. They have a natural, they have a golden pine, they have a white one, and if you do like dark, they have the cappuccino and then ebony, which is the black. And so there's several different options available. I really like Fusion Stain because it's got a very, very low odor. And even though I'm outside, if I were to use this inside, I wouldn't have a problem doing that. And it cures within 10 days, and it's, water resistant. You can wash it with soap and water after that. It protects the wood, gives you a great finish, satin. Well, not even really satin, it's more of a matte finish. So here's my problem child. This dresser, the lady asked if I could remove the red varnish, and it is a cool piece. Like, I'd already taken the hardware off, but there's a lot of texture to this piece, but it's made out of the back of its old barnwood, and very, very old. It doesn't have dovetails. It's got little round pegs to hold the drawers together. And these, it's really hard. Sorry, I was trying to focus. But these handles, they have an engraved floral pattern in them. So cool. Like, I just loved it. And the patina on it is just amazing. So I left the handles. I just kind of, you can see that they got some varnish on the handle there, the red. I removed as much as that as I could, and then just left them the way they were, and it ended up turning out pretty cool. So I'm going to try this Green Ease or Green Easy again, and put a thick layer on, and I use saran wrap, and whatever they put on this dresser, it turned into a gooey mess. So sticky, gooey. I was like, oh, I don't even want to deal with it. But so what I did was I ended up keeping it in the saran wrap overnight, and the next day I tried to remove the saran wrap, and it pretty much had kind of melted into the varnish. It was such a mess. But persevere, keep going. This somebody's paying me to do this, so I had to get it done. So anyway, I did what I could. I scraped off as much as I could, and ended up just kind of letting it dry. And then I just sanded the daylights out of it. I went from an 80 grit to 120 grit to 150 grit. And then I stopped there because, again, I didn't want to do the 220 to close the grain, because I did want to put some kind of a stain on it because the wood was very pale. And so she had asked if it comes off and there's a little bit of red. She said that's okay. And so what I did was, there's some grooves in the drawer front, so I left those with the red varnish, and around the side panels where it's indented, I kind of left some red color where it normally would be like a distressed, darker color anyway. So it turned out to be pretty cool. But yeah, it was definitely a challenge. I think I ended up sanding it almost 4 hours and worked on it for about a total of 5 hours. So it was definitely a doozy, but I think it turned out really cool in the end, and she was happy with it. So that's what matters. So I'm curious to know if you guys have used this product before and what you thought of it, or if you have any recommendations for a better stripper that's still not really smelly, because I am kind of prone to getting headaches. So I always look for products that have a low odor, which usually means that it doesn't work as well. But just curious to see if you guys have any other tips and tricks on using a stripper versus having to just sand it and use a scraper the whole time. So after I sanded it down the 3 different times, I just took a lint-free rag and wiped all the dust off. And then this is a stain that I actually made myself. It's got antiquing wax in it, and I think I just used the antiquing wax from Walmart. And I put water, antiquing wax, and a little bit of black paint. I honestly couldn't tell you how much of each. I just kind of pour it in and until I find the color that suits me. And then I put 1 coat of this on, and you can see in the back the barnwood. This seems to be about the same color, so I was trying to get something similar to what the barnwood was in the back. And then that wood was so dry, it just really soaked it in really fast. So once it dried, I went in with my Fusion Clear Furniture Wax and gave it a good 2 coats of the wax. This is what that is. And I also waxed the inside of the drawers just to give them a little bit of a drink and nourish the wood a little bit. It also brings out the color a little bit more, and she appreciated that. So it's also nice to wax the grooves where your drawer is sliding, so it makes it a lot easier to slide in and out. So I always end up doing that when I can. And for projects this size, I like to use my super big wax brush. I think it's like 2 inches. Honestly couldn't tell you what the brand was, but it's really nice because it gets a big surface done quickly. So here I am waxing the inside of the drawers. Sometimes I like to put, Wise Owl makes a salve that smells like I think it's called lemon verbena. Oh my gosh, it smells so good. So that's kind of nice sometimes to do when you open the drawers. You just get that nice, refreshing scent. And I'm just putting back the hardware, which I just love this hardware. It's so cool. And here it is all done. You can see that I left the red there on the lines for her. And she really thought that was pretty cool. So let me know what you think. Let me know if you would have done something different on the stripping process. And I will be back here on Tuesday, hopefully with some thrift flips. I got to get through my bins thrift flips so I can go back.